and welcome to this edition of the Boob Tube Buddies podcast, featuring our discussion of the HBO show Westworld, episode 2, entitled Chestnut. One exciting tidbit before we get started, we finally have a website. What do you think, Mothman? Pretty exciting?
Oh, yeah. Very exciting. So shout out to you for creating it 2 days ago, and it already looks pretty fucking sweet.
Hey, I do what I can for the good of my man. So go to www.boob. I meant to say I do what I can for the good of the land.
For my man. I thought it was a weird phrase, and I just figured I was your man. So
Off the rails. Whatever, keep it rolling.
All right.
So go to www.boobtubebuddies.com to get in on the conversation. And as always, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Reddit, or email us at boobtubebuddies@gmail.com. We'll make sure we get your questions, theories, all that on air. And the last thing, please rate us on iTunes. It's the number one way you can support our show, and we'd really appreciate it. I'm Adam Foxman. This is Mathis Coos. What's going on, Mothman?
Oh, not a whole lot. We just got done watching the debate and got us amped and energized to do this. I did want to add that we now have a P.O. box as well.
Wait, do we really?
No, we don't.
Okay.
We're millennials,
damn,
of course
dude, you've been
don't.
busy.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. That's pretty funny, dude. So what do you think was a bigger disaster? Was it the hurricane that came through and knocked out our power, internet, and knocked over my fence, or was it the debate?
Probably the debate. One thing I saw in the debate that made me laugh quite a bit going into this podcast was a fly landed on Hillary and she didn't react.
Oh, yeah. It was perfect for our Westworld podcast. I guess she has been designed not to harm human beings, and nobody has triggered her awake yet.
Yeah, so that was pretty interesting.
Nicely done. I'm glad that you managed to keep that nonpartisan.
Yeah, right? That was pretty... Okay, all right. So, another episode into this fantastic show.
Yeah. Wake up, Mothman.
Man, trigger phrases.
But that is how the show actually starts. Obviously, not Mothman, but wake up, Dolores, and she goes running outside, walking outside in her nightgown, and somebody says, "Do you remember?" And I'm only mentioning it here because it actually sort of bookends the episode. So we'll cover it a little bit more later. But let's talk a little bit about the newly introduced character William. Who is played by Jimmy Simpson, a McPoyle brother for It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Oh, man. Do you think that he is sad that he wasn't introduced in episode 1 so he couldn't get in on some of that tasty milk from the milk murderer guy?
I know. I thought it was actually pretty interesting because the first episode, you're led, at least for a little bit of it, you're led to believe that Teddy's a guest. And you just think that, I don't know, the natural way to start a show about an amusement park is to have a guest point of view, but it's really this episode that we're getting that experience, which I found pretty interesting. Definitely.
So his name is William, and he's riding on a really futuristic looking train or shuttle into the Delos headquarters, and his super cocky friend Logan is talking to him about how he needs to get into the spirit of things, and it kind of seems like William doesn't necessarily love Logan. Like, it kind of seems like it's a little bit like our relationship with each other.
Yeah, it's exactly like our relationship. There's even, I'm trying to remember, later in the episode, one of the prostitutes refers to Logan as William's friend, and I think he corrects her. He's like, I don't know about that. And then
that's Clementine Pennyfeather, I think, that says that to him.
Yeah, I was excited to be name checking you throughout because I just have Hooker a lot in these notes.
I had to go back through after writing the notes on the IMDb page. Shout out to IMDb because I would be really fucking bad at this if it wasn't for them. I had to go back through and change the names. I also did not catch his name, which is Logan, at any point in the episode.
Me neither.
So I went through and wrote it afterwards.
Guest 1 and douche guest were my notes.
So I am definitely the Logan to your William.
Pretty much. You're the douche guest. But they're having a nice futuristic ride in, a little reminiscent of what happens in the movie, but the more interesting stuff is once he gets there and his friend Logan seems to have been before almost because he knows kind of the layout of everything.
Definitely been, but because even later when they're talking about it, he's saying like, it's not all about the guns and the tits and stuff like that. Like he obviously has been here before, and you can tell by the way that he is the cock of the walk, even when he gets into Sweetwater later. But
there's numerous times where it's confirmed there, but even from this point, you're getting that inclination, even though he hasn't outright said it.
For sure. And so when they get off the tram, they're kind of both taken to separate, different little areas. And by the way, all like male and female, all of the robots that are here hosting them, they're very beautiful, like all model-esque. And so he is escorted by this blonde woman who's asking him a series of probing questions, just about his state of mental health, social anxiety, things like that. And at one point, he just reaches over and grabs her pussy. Yeah.
He's just being the absolute best.
Okay, we said the fly thing. Now we got the pussy. Okay, now we're even.
I don't know if you've ever seen this, but there is a news footage from a local news broadcast, and some guy is laughing at some joke, and I'm just going to do my impression. He goes, "Fuck that chicken." And it's the weirdest thing in the world that's like almost this catchphrase. And it was on Daily Show once upon a time, and apparently there's another video of another newscaster saying it. So I wonder if it's some kind of weird disease, but I feel like the new one should just be grab that pussy.
Wow, yeah. And I remember even before that, it was Baba Booey was the thing that people used to always shout.
I know, man. Simpler times.
Yeah, exactly. So one thing I started to really notice throughout this episode, and I mean it was obviously evident in the first one too, but how much Westworld is kind of like an actual real life video game for the people that go into it. And like when he goes into the changing room, how much that is like the character creation.
Absolutely,
menu.
Everything is bespoke, made to his size, and there's that great scene where he has to pick the last piece, which is does he want a white hat or a black hat, and then which style. Like, and interestingly enough, I didn't get to read it yet, but before we went on air, there's a article saying the creators of Westworld were heavily inspired by BioShock and Red Dead Redemption.
It's got to be Red Dead. I mean, like, it's amazing how much it's like it. And is any character in here, do you think, really remind you of John Marston?
Visually, it's been ages since I played the game, but visually, Logan kind of looks like him.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of true. Really, I guess nobody totally embodies that, but obviously the veteran player, like the one who would be playing on like, game battles or one of those E3 things would definitely
Man in Black.
Man in Black. Yeah, the Man in Black is definitely like the number one ranked gamer right now as far as we're concerned.
Yeah, and they've definitely confirmed, and not to say there couldn't be some of the weird stuff we discussed last episode, like his consciousness being downloaded into a special robot called a Newcomer, but in terms of the staff, they refer to the Man in Black this episode as a guest.
Yeah, they do, and we'll get to that in a little bit, but I really enjoyed that about like how much more this becomes like a marriage of my favorite things, which is television and video games are like my two favorite things to talk about.
Absolutely.
And obviously it's something you and I have in common too. Yeah. Definitely the sports thing that we have that in common.
I think that's what I love about it the most is that it's in tune with the things you like that are cool and that I also happen to like. So we don't have to argue over phrases like sick in the paint.
Come on, dude. I love mocking you for stuff like that. Yeah. But okay, so I guess the only other thing that really happens in this part is after he chooses the hat, like you said, he goes through that hallway, comes out of the door, and he's in this what seems like kind of like an old-timey saloon. He goes up to the bar. Logan ends up walking in.
It's a train, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing is it just looks like a bar. And he's like, well, how do we get into Westworld? And at that very moment, you hear the train like rattling and coming out. Yeah. And that's when you realize that they're on a train, not in a bar. And so that's when you see like the beautiful,
gorgeous, picturesque canyons.
Yeah, and so Logan says that at that point, this place seduces people. It's not about the guns and tits. It helps you find out who you really are. And dude, I can't wait to fucking meet that man.
Yeah, that was actually kind of a cool little scene. And
sure.
William even smirks a little, which is kind of the most endearing he ever seems with Logan throughout the episode.
Yeah, it's really the only time it seems like they have any connection at all. And it's probably just born of like the excitement over what they're going into. But let's actually, instead of going off to a different plot line, let's stick with this one a little bit. So they enter Sweetwater through the way that we've seen everybody else do it, especially, I guess, Teddy in last episode. So William is obviously super green here. Like he apologizes to the one dude that he bumps into. He helps the one guy off the ground. And that's when we get another video game type moment with the like the quest.
Yeah, his friends immediately like, don't bother with that. He's just going to try to rope you into some adventure. And then was there a girl or something immediately that he wants to interact with? And it's the same type of thing. It's Clementine. Yeah. And
but they're like NPCs, basically.
They're non-playable characters for those not in the know. But essentially, when you hear, what's the British dude's name since you went on IMDb?
Oh shit! All
right, so Nigel. Nigel has devised over 100 different storylines. So if you think about playing a big open world video game,
it's Lee Sizemore.
Okay, Lee Sizemore. So there's the main plot line that's probably going on, but then there's all these small quests and different things you can go on, and there's a point where Logan's basically saying, "Don't bother with these," like it's in the details almost. It's the different adventures you can have, and later it's kind of mirrored because Ford's having a conversation about what makes a great experience, and people coming here aren't for just like the tits and blood. I mean, that's the initial reaction, but the reason that we have repeat customers is because of the details. It's because of the like the reveries that he's designing.
Yeah, and honestly, if you were entering into this world, wouldn't that be part of the fun? I mean, like, just like the small interactions. Obviously, like going on these little quests and things like that would be fun, and doing some of the quote unquote main storyline stuff. But yeah, just like the interacting and just being immersed in that world would be so fucking cool. Like whenever I get like a new big game comes out, like a Red Dead Redemption or Grand Theft Auto, I can't wait to get away from the opening cutscene so I can just explore to start off with. And that's what I would want to do if I came into Westworld. Yeah,
it would just be get out there and start exploring and start having a good time.
Yeah, for sure. So,
but if it's $115 million a visit, I feel like I would just do the main storyline.
That was the priciest stay, by the way, that I put up on Twitter. Did you see that whole breakdown of the most expensive stay you could possibly have at Westworld?
Yeah, that's the one I was going off of.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking insane. So I'm sure that there are bronze level memberships or whatever, and that would probably be more my speed.
It's all like the older style robots that you see getting retired in the first episode that are like jerky, like Chuck E. Cheese animatronics.
Yeah,
that's what we'd be getting, that experience.
Yeah, well, we'd be lucky to get that. I don't think I could afford that. I don't even think I could afford to stay in sub-level 147 where they host all the old...
penises.
Yeah, exactly.
Cold penis storage would be all you could afford.
That's funny, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so William and Logan, they go into this little saloon area. They're eating their little dinner, and Logan's like, you're so talented, you're driven, but you're just inoffensive at work, and that's part of the problem. And that's when the old man NPC from the street comes up and thanks him again for the help earlier. Oh, look at you, Sonny! I really appreciate you helping me out earlier when I was down on my times. Fuck off, old man.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, but it is so video game like the moment you see a character and you're like, I saw him before, maybe I should talk to him again. And then you see him in another city, and you're like, man, the third time, that's when he's finally going to give me the quest or this hidden item or this thing.
Yeah. the guy's obviously, like, targeted poor old William as being the guest that's going to interact with his plot line. And actually, we see later that that there's some level of, like, numbers that these hosts have to hit in order to not get decommissioned. Did you hear that part with Maeve, where they were saying like her numbers of seductions are down, like she's not hitting her numbers. If we can't get those up, then we're gonna have to decommission her. So and I'm assuming that this guy is also subject to that. Like if his plot line, if he's not able to get people roped into it, he'll either be decommissioned or maybe given like a new outlook or something.
Yeah, I caught that a little bit. The idea being, essentially the story. It's kind of like, I think of an arcade, and the games that no one plays, people just, they get rid of it and put something new in. So I guess the idea is that if there's a character that people aren't interacting with for whatever reason and not taking that adventure, then they need to create a new one. At which point, putting an old man down on his luck, missing an eye, next to like all the prostitutes, how is he not decommissioned?
Yeah. that's a good point. Especially like you could see if you were out exploring in like the vast expanse, if you stumbled across this guy, maybe you
absolutely
interact with him. But yeah, there's a lot of other shinier bells and whistles in Sweetwater,
to say the least. Yeah, I would absolutely like, just like you were discussing earlier, you're just exploring, and then you run into this dude and he's trying to find gold. Then I'd go on that adventure. But otherwise, no thanks, buddy.
Yeah, so anyway, Logan stabs that old bag of bones through the hand, which is a really cool and bloody fucking scene. William looks absolutely shocked, and then they exit, and they go to the whorehouse. Logan's having his little threesome with a dude and another girl, and that's when we spoke about it. William and Clementine are in the other room, and he's like, yeah, I would not consider him to be a friend. He's more like a co-host of my Boob Tube Buddies podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Acquaintances, mutual business partners, but don't you dare call us friends. Anything but.
Oh, rude. Okay,
anyway.
So let's get into the Man in Black storyline. Like, this is still my favorite part of the show. There are a lot of other subtleties that I like, but this, for me, like, when he's on the screen, this is the moment where I'm fucking amped up, sitting up on my couch, just, like, ready to just hang on to every fucking word that comes out of his mouth.
Yeah, he is a pretty charismatic old man. So, it starts with this...
I'd follow his plot line.
Yes, absolutely. that is one a mission I would choose. So there's a man about to be hung, and of course, Man in Black rides in, kind of saving the day. He's definitely not painted as a hero.
Good morning, Lawrence.
But he obviously wants something from this man, Lawrence. So he just kills everyone to save him, but it's only for his personal gain.
Yeah, he gives him the scalp with the map on it. Lawrence is playing dumb, and Man in Black gives us a little bit more into this. He says, it's the maze, the deepest level of the game. You're going to help me find the entrance. And I had written...
He throws on the scalped head.
Yeah, he does. And but Man in Black, I mean, he's definitely playing on hardcore mode at this point.
Yes, he is on expert level, because, I mean, he gets in an immediate brawl that almost anyone else would not survive. And... he obviously has found like one of these secret boss levels or something. That little maze on top of the guy's scalp from last episode. He throws to this dude, and he wants some more information.
Oh, yeah. He knows which green pipes to duck into.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the Man in Black then rides into Lawrence's hometown, sets him down at a cantina, and by the way, it's not like he rides him in like he gives him a fucking lift. He drags him by the neck into the town and sits him down, and he starts talking about the shared past. They've gone on missions together. I know what tune you whistle when you're taking a piss. And and so they sit there. The bartender walks up and then leaves, and obviously we know he goes to tell the cousins of Lawrence's cousins that they need to come over and take out this guy.
Yeah, so I mean, they have a shared history. He thinks Lawrence is going to have that. I didn't put two and two together. Why did he think Lawrence would have this information?
I don't specifically know why he thought Lawrence would have the information.
I don't think maybe there's just some random clue that sent him in this direction, like on the game.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, I think that must have been it, because I've seen the episode 2 times already, and I've done a deep dive on the internet looking at theories and all sorts of other things, and I never once saw why Lawrence. But
okay.
But at this point, he's like, that's the thing I love about this game. And we've talked about it a million times. I keep coming here. I know all the big things, but it's the little details that keep surprising me every time. Like, I didn't know you had a family. And at that moment, that's when Lawrence's wife and daughter come running up.
Yes. At which point, eventually they get used against him, and he kills his wife trying to get this information out of him.
And I just love the way that he's doing this little negotiation. Like, he hands the 2 bullets to the daughter and like tells Lawrence, you get to choose how these are used. I thought that was kind of like really fucking intense.
Yeah, the way they first start the interaction, when they just first sit down before he shoots the bartender in the face, he lays out all the bullets on the table.
Yeah.
And kind of starts like a much more intense cinematic version of Russian roulette kind of thing.
Yeah. No, basically that's exactly what it is like a Russian roulette, except for
only one person's playing.
Yeah, only one person's playing, and he's using it as like a hostage sort of tactic.
Yeah, exactly.
But so at this point, the fucking Dingleberry gang members come over, Lawrence's cousins, and I love that he holsters his gun, stabs the one guy, uses that guy's gun to shoot at the other guy, and then just unloads onto everybody. The only person who even actually gets some shots into him is the one dude who kind of like pops out from the like the tower over across the yard, but he fucking lays waste to all of them and gets back to business.
Yeah, and then there's one last dude. He goes to grab the whiskey bottle, and someone shoots the bottle, and it's one last person inside.
Oh, yeah, he was in the cantina.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, and when you see him leave the town, there's just so many bodies strode from that one fight scene.
Yeah, what he like before he kills Lawrence's wife, it's like what he does, like just the mental games. He pulls her aside, he like twirls her, starts dancing with her slowly, and then steps back, cocks his gun. Lawrence still doesn't give him the information, and he fucking domes her. and then he walks over, and it's the daughter who has the information. You can tell right away something's different because there's not a look of fear or a look of sadness. She looks up at him just very matter-of-factly and says, "This maze isn't meant for you."
Yeah, it's fairly ominous, but essentially he's going where he's not supposed to go, and he's just willing to take his chances at this point. And then she says something about, I didn't make out the name, but blood of something.
Yeah, follow the blood arroyo to the place where the snake lays its eggs.
Blood of Royo or blood arroyo?
Arroyo.
Arroyo.
Oh, God.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Arroyo. Arroyo. To the place where the snake lays its eggs. And then the man in black gives the bullets to the girl, and he says something to to the effect of, like this time, like I'm never going home, or I'm not coming back. Something to the effect of like this is his last hurrah, maybe. Yeah,
his last hurrah, or he's just, I mean, he's trying to find a way where he can stay here forever and be part of it. Maybe like I don't know if he's just a super seasoned guest that's just back on his umpteenth trip, and he's just trying to become part of the park. You just aren't sure at this point.
Or maybe he's played it enough times to now, like, all that he really cares to, like, and he's gone, he's done all the side quests, and he's done, he's walked around, killing prosties and things like that. Now he wants to beat, like, the final storyline. Like, he wants to beat the last boss. He wants, you know what I mean? Like, he wants to put a bow on this bitch.
I could see that, but the fact saying that this storyline isn't for you, I feel like it's definitely not the main boss fight. It's some kind of secret. It's a glitch he's finding out about.
I don't know. I feel like it is programmed into the game for like the most like immersive and veteran guest.
Maybe. Because I definitely don't think it's the main plot line. His process is being, or I'm sorry, his progress is being monitored by Stubbs and the people. Like they say, let him do whatever he wants. Don't make it any extra difficult for him. Like they let him. Yeah, because of the killing he does. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying, like, I don't think it's a glitch because they're promoting him through this.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's the main like line though. I think this is just something secret for people that maybe play a tremendous amount.
Unlocking the final achievements, kind of.
Yeah, like this is platinum trophy, but I don't know what the actual task will be at the end of it.
Okay, true. So that kind of wraps up his plot line for this, and so we get Bernard and Elsie are discussing Peter Abernathy, and he's being like a bit of a dick about it. Like she's saying that there were errors in Dr. Ford's reverie code. I think that you might be kind of covering for him a little bit, and he's just super dismissive. She wants to rebuild Abernathy to find out what happened, and she says like, what if he's contagious? To which he just kind of scoffs.
Well, yeah, she's like, what is he contagious? I mean, in a manner of speaking, she knows that it kind of sounds crazy, but it's essentially she's thinking about like a computer virus or something like that, to which case he's just like, whatever.
Yeah, he which I think is a little out of character because he seems like he really wants to get to the bottom of everything. But then we actually find out a little bit later when he sits down and speaks with Dolores that he's very much aware of the changes that are occurring, and he's more interested in it, like intrigued by it, rather than wanting to fix it necessarily, at least not yet. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But let's talk about Dolores and when she enters Sweetwater and has her reverie in the middle of town.
Yeah, she recalls all the dead bodies from, say the last episode when we first meet Teddy and everyone else, and there's kind of the massacre in the town. So she's obviously starting to recall memories. And then she's talked to by the hooker from last episode, whose name I don't know.
Maeve. You could just call her the Madame.
Madame. Not my Clementine. And she says the catchphrase, these violent delights have violent ends. And now you're wondering, okay, is this going to be a trigger for Maeve as well? Which later reveals it definitely is. Yeah,
definitely.
She looks upset.
Yeah, and then Dolores, after she says it, kind of does this like long, heavy blink as though she's like getting back into character. And then her eyes open, she smiles again, like the same old positive Dolores. But it's obvious that she is now operating on two different levels.
Things are escalating. The virus spreads.
Now, this is actually a really good time to throw to our Audible ad because I specifically wrote it to come after a scene with these violent delights have violent ends. So you want to throw to that bitch real quick?
Absolutely. We'll be right back.
These violent delights have violent ends.
What is this? What is this, please?
Robots gaining sentience is one of my favorite tropes, both in cinema and literature. One of the classic robot stories is I, Robot, an incredible collection of 9 science fiction stories by Isaac Asimov. Asimov's 3 laws of robotics are quoted over and over again in the genre. 1. A robot may not injure a human being. 2. A robot must obey orders given by human beings. And 3. A robot must protect its own existence. You can listen to this collection of stories for free at www.audibletrial.com/Boob Tube Buddies. By using that link, you get a free month subscription to Audible and access to over 180,000 books. Again, check out iRobot at www.audibletrial.com/Boob Tube Buddies. These violent delights have violent ends, little buddies.
All right, and we're back. Man, that was a great musical Audible ad, Fox.
Hey, thank you very much, man. Between the two of us, we pumped out a handful the last few days that are going to start coming out over the next few episodes. For example, American Horror Story Chapter 4. I know my other one is being used. And then either in the next Westworld one or maybe in the Luke Cage one we record next, you have a ridiculously good one with lots of layers to it. So a lot of cool stuff coming up for the listeners there with the songs.
Yeah, we're having a little good time pimping Audible. Now we just need people to actually use the trial.
One day.
Yeah, anyway.
That's not the way. Okay, you ready to...
Is it game time?
It's fucking game time.
Does this game have a funny and clever name?
I have to say this is probably my weakest one yet in looking at it. I was really proud of it when I wrote the game, and now I'm looking at it, and I'm not super thrilled with it.
Okay.
But it's... first off, the creator of all this is Michael Crichton. So the title is For Crichton's Sake.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so as you know, Michael Crichton wrote and directed the original Westworld movie in 1973, so we have him to thank for this amazing story. Wanted to pay tribute to him by making him the feature of this week's game. And just to structure it for you, there's going to be 3 questions. There's just one punishment at the end this time, but the challenge of it will be increased with every wrong answer. So I put extra steps into it, depending on how many you get right or wrong. Okay? You ready, Mothman?
I'm ready. I'm totally ready.
Okay, number 1, very, very simple. It's a multiple choice. How tall was Michael Crichton? A.
Is he dead?
I think so. I might be wrong about that.
No, he's definitely not dead. I think he's doing a new Jurassic Park novel.
Oh my God, so rude. How tall is Michael? Well, how tall was Michael Crichton at his peak? Because maybe
he's getting older now, so he's shrinking. Okay,
so I'm gonna stick with the
say
one.
Michael Crichton is 6'2".
Wait, so that's not one of the multiple choice things. Should I just let you
Oh, it's multiple choice? Okay, go ahead.
That would be a really difficult question if it wasn't multiple choice. It's pretty tough anyway. All right.
It is.
A, 5'1", B, 5'4", C, 6'6", or D, 6'9".
Oh, Jesus. I'm going to go for
obviously
6'6".
He's tall or short. He's actually, this is fucking crazy, dude. He's 6'9".
No.
I swear to God.
He's a monster?
Yes.
Oh my God, what a mongoloid.
Yeah, how shocking is that?
I'm glad he got, like, a job behind the scenes. No one wants to look at that.
That's really rude, dude.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay, well, he's very sensitive about his height, so lay off, Mothman.
Oh, man, I thought there's no way in hell it would be 6'9".
Yeah. Okay, so you got that one wrong, so that's one strike against the Mothman. All right, number 2. What was the first film ever to use CGI? And all these options are going to be Crichton adaptations. It was one of his movies, okay? Okay, so
is it Andromeda Strain?
Well, just hold off. I mean, if you want that to be your answer, you can, because it is one of the options.
Okay.
A, Westworld in 19... Oh, actually, you know what? I'm not going to give you the years. I'll just tell you the title. Westworld. B, The Andromeda Strain, you piece of shit. C, The Terminal Man. Or D, Runaway.
Oh, shit. I'm going to say Andromeda Strain, but because I don't know what the other two movies are.
It's actually Westworld.
Really? What?
Yeah,
what
first
CGI
ever
is
film
in
to use CGI. I don't know. I didn't look that far into it. But I actually got this off of Michael Crichton's website. Yeah.
Weird. Because we both watched it, and I didn't recall a time. Because if I watch a movie from the 90s with CGI, it's usually like slap you in the face, obvious, bad.
Yeah.
But I just remember there being a lot of bad practical effects in Westworld.
Yeah, I thought so too. And I don't know, maybe one of the scenes with Yul Brynner taking his face off or something.
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
I don't know, but I thought that was pretty interesting. And I thought that maybe you'd guess it only because we're watching Westworld, and why would I... But I'm glad that you'd actually heard of Andromeda Strain, so your mind went to that. So anyway, okay. So that's 2 off. Now, you ready? 3. The Westworld book is how many pages? Now, this is also a multiple choice. A, 200, B, 500, C, 1,000, or D, there is no book.
There's no book, it's just a screenplay.
Nicely done. Okay, very good, man. Yeah, so there's not actually a book. There was a soft copy of the screenplay that was released, but no book. So good job. Okay, so you got one of the 3 correctly. So you'll have to do 2 parts of this punishment. You ready?
I am ready.
Okay. So it is a skit. You know, I fucking love making you do your little skits because you're so good at them.
I try.
And for each question you got wrong, you have to add an extra character into this skit. So you do not have to do the third one, who would have been Christopher Walken, by the way.
Okay. All right.
So anyway, this is what you're going to have to do. Okay, so here's the premise. Kermit the Frog is talking about why Westworld is the best show on television this fall. Nick Cage is jealous that he wasn't cast in it.
Why always Nick Cage? I can't do a Nick
love
Cage.
your Nick Cage voice.
Can't you just be Nick Cage? You have a good Nick Cage.
Nope. That's not the punishment. All right, so again, Kermit the Frog is talking about why Westworld is the best show on television this fall. Nick Cage is jealous that he wasn't cast in it and seen.
Okay. Well, so Nick, have you checked out Westworld? Oh, no, I haven't. I've been, too busy paying off my taxes. Oh, well, it's pretty sweet. I would say it's as good as Game of Thrones, and it's probably the #1 show of the fall. Goddamn agent, he never gets me the good shows. I'm stuck in doing The Sorcerer's Apprentice, and I don't know, whatever that last one was. I'm basically secondhand Wesley Snipes at this point. Well, I wouldn't be that hard on yourself. I mean, Wesley Snipes, right? Is this over yet?
You gotta yell at some point, dude. You gotta freak out.
I gotta yell. Okay, fine. Yeah, I mean, don't be that hard on yourself. I mean, Wesley Snipes, right? I mean, no one's as bad as Wesley Snipes. God damn it, I'm as bad as Wesley Snipes!
I love that you have to do the soft yell because we're recording at the fucking crack of midnight over here.
Not to mention I get like a pretty atrocious echo when I really yell in this room.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I mean, not
that was very
bad,
good,
but...
dude. Especially your Kermit the Frog is legitimately good, and then your Nick Cage I just enjoy.
I feel like my Nick Cage is slowly just becoming Jack Nicholson.
Oh wow, dude! It really does sound like Jack Nicholson. Oh,
I mean,
that's
they both
funny,
have dick
dude.
in it. So anyway,
Well, you
okay.
did a really good job. I'm really impressed with you.
Well, thanks, man. That's one of the few scenarios I was programmed for.
Yeah, how did you what did you say about that one time when I tried to do the Kermit the Frog? What was your note about it?
Your Kermit. I don't know.
Oh, it sounded like his nerdy cousin or something.
Nerdy
like
cousin.
that.
I thought it was cousin, but I was about to say inbred cousin.
Inbred cousin.
I don't know. Just because I figured you'd stuttered and sounded, kind of slow.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Anyway.
All right, so we have our next cool modern day piano tie-in right here.
Yeah, we got it's Radiohead, right?
Yeah, I actually have it on.
Soothing.
Pretty pretty good, right?
Yeah,
I seriously I love that. That's Radiohead's No Surprises, which I'm pretty sure is from Paranoid Android, which really fucking fits in well, just the title of the album with kind of the concept of Westworld.
Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't recognize it the first time. I recognized it, but I wasn't sure what song it was, and then I looked it up when I watched it the second time, and I was like, oh, it's a nice little thing.
Yeah, for sure. But okay, so we're in the brothel, and Maeve Millay is telling a story to the guests. He's completely enthralled, but then she has a reverie of some Native Americans. You're the PC guy, just so that if I fucked up right there, tell me right now, is that the correct term?
I think it's now indigenous people.
Oh, fuck. Are you serious? I'm going to have to say indigenous people every time?
I think so.
Okay, so she has a reverie of some fancy indigenous people slaughtering her family all around her house on the prairie. Do you remember?
Yep.
Okay,
I do remember that. Yeah. So she's having that, and the nice thing is, actually, if you listen to her dialogue, it almost seems like she's talking about the process of recalling memories and breaking down. It's a really intense monologue, and the guy's eventually is just
that's a
let me
good
get away
point.
from it. But her actual lines, at first, until that happened, and she had the reverie in the middle of it, I thought she was describing that, she's already in the process of being, decoded or whatever.
Yeah, I know that after she says this and she has the reverie, they flash forward to her getting retuned at Delos headquarters.
Mm-hmm. And they up her aggression.
They
I believe.
aggro, yeah, they put up her aggro 20%, and because if her numbers don't come up, which is seduction in her case, then she'll be decommissioned.
Yeah, and so now you have Bernie and Ford talking in front of one of the I don't know, robots being made. It's
Yeah,
like
what
the
is it?
exoskeleton.
It's the Vitruvian Man?
Yeah, I
Isn't
can
that-
never remember how to call it. The Da Vinci.
Yeah, I think it's
yeah,
Vitruvian Man. Yeah, which you're right. It's the Da Vinci thing. But yeah, it's the guy being synthesized in front of them, basically.
Yeah, but they're once again talking about Abernathy, arguing about, not really arguing, but surely the image isn't enough to have made that happen.
Well, and yeah, he thinks that somebody sabotaged it, actually, that somebody did this intentionally, and Dr. Ford goes off on his little riddles and things about what we do is so complicated. We speak the right words and create life itself.
Yeah, I just want to go ahead and do an impression. So we're gonna get to the scene eventually, but he doesn't like Nigel's world. He's like, it's all so garish. It's the details that have them coming back, and a good guest I'd like to eat with fava beans and a nice Chianti.
No. That's pretty good, dude. Nice
Okay,
job.
hello. Anyway.
Okay, so, but yeah, basically, at this point, Dr. Ford goes wandering off by himself, which I guess he likes to do all the time. We see him constantly just marching to the beat of his own drum, but this time he actually goes walking off into Westworld, and I like, it shows him taking that old, what looks like it's an access elevator or something, that just goes up into the middle of nowhere, basically in the desert area of Westworld.
Yeah, and he's just walking around. He runs into some little random kid. I don't know if he's a guest or what. And
He is definitely a robot, which you only get at the end when he basically tells him go leave, and then the kid, the way that he marches off, it's almost like he's been giving a directive. You know what I mean? He becomes very robotic. I guess it's not guaranteed that that's the case, but it's certainly implied.
Sure. I also like that he does some snake charming for the kid.
That is pretty cool. And then the kid's like, is that magic? He's like, everything is magic.
Everything
Except to the magician.
is magic. I was halfway expecting the rattlesnake to bite him because that's what happens in the movie.
Yeah, it does. That's what I was kind of
shit
expecting
starts going,
too.
yeah, hitting the fan. Mm-hmm.
But at this point, it seems like the reveries are only contagious to people that have heard the phrase. And I wonder if we'll ever see animals kind of, bucking the chains of their masters as well.
It would be pretty interesting. I mean, I don't know what all kind of animals.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of animals they have other than horses and stuff. But if we could see some robot dinosaurs, that would be sweet.
That would be the ultimate jump the shark scene.
You don't want to have a Westworld Jurassic Park crossover, Crichton style.
Oh, that is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's coming season 5.
Yeah.
Just like the Brooklyn Nine-Nine New Girl crossover.
Yeah, yeah. I did not watch that actually. Is that a real thing?
It's about to happen, which I thought was the silliest thing in the world, but I'm definitely watching it.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch it too. I really like both those shows, but that just on the surface sounds like a really shitty idea.
Right.
I hope that they mock it mercilessly, like the Simpsons Family Guy one.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're gonna get in trouble with the law, and they just happen to live in New York, so it's gonna be Andy Samberg and co.
Oh God, they don't live in New York though. They live in Los Angeles, I think.
Do they? I don't really watch New Girl that much. I like Brooklyn Nine-Nine a lot better.
Oh yeah, I definitely do too. But I'm pretty sure that they live in LA. Either way, who fucking gives a shit? It's on Fox, so fuck it.
Yeah, fuck
Bernard,
you, Fox.
Yeah.
Although Exorcist is pretty good so far. Anyway,
I haven't checked it out yet. I'm going to, but yeah, let's not get too derailed here. Dolores gets brought back online by Bernard, and actually, it kind of seems like maybe it's in Westworld, not in headquarters, because she's like staring lost kind of into this window of this building, and then it shows the two of them talking, and there are props in the background that do not really match up with what we've seen of like the sterile interior of Delos headquarters.
Well, yeah, I don't know. This whole thing seemed kind of sketchy to me because
certainly it's off the record. He keeps saying that.
Yeah, I don't know. It seemed to me he was really more than anything. This was just to make sure that she's not talking. So my inclination is that most of the stuff going on, he actually has something to do with it. Kind
of, but then he does ask her if somebody is tampering with her. That's not how he phrases it, but he is asking probing questions about if anybody's changing her programming and things like that. So he does. That would be a bizarre question to ask if he was the one doing it. Unless he's just trying to see if she's retaining that. Yeah. Because he tells her to that's fair. That's a good point.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems. It's a possibility, but I don't know. Because
it's also very rarely in any sort of media that the first person that they try to kind of convince you is the person that is a culpable for things. It's very rare that person ends up being the one. Sure, I don't think they're trying to convince us of anything. It just it could be him, it could be Ford, it would be anyone involved in that. These are just the characters we know. I know, but he's the one bringing up questions about tampering. He's also the one who really is obsessed with the reverie code, really likes it, thinks it's beautiful, so the last soft, person and delicate touches. Yeah, I'm just saying that they're showing because if anything, he'd be the one championing it. Not them breaking down and not doing what they're supposed to and, going crazy. No, but becoming more lifelike. Yeah, that too. And he has a secret relationship with this other woman too. Yeah, so obviously he does have some little sneaky things going off behind it. But anyway, he sends her back out. But yeah, he tells her scrub this entire interaction, confirm that you've done so. And he just he clearly finds her very fascinating. He says, I can tell that you're changing. So it's obvious that he's not, that he's clued into what's going on with Dolores. He just doesn't give a shit about the negative impacts of what could happen. Yeah, so from here on, we get a little more of Maeve. She's hitting on a female customer that is not buying it, and then she's having a conversation with Clementine where she tells her about, counting backwards from 3 to get rid of her troubles. Yeah, and so they share a drink, and Clementine goes back to work, and then all of a sudden Maeve has another reverie, and Teddy, who's sitting at the bar, asks if she's okay, and this whole thing is being witnessed from headquarters, and Stubbs, who's played by Luke Hemsworth, talks to this other person. He's like, listen, it's a shame, but we're going to have to recall her, have her decommissioned in the morning.
Yeah, because she's just acting up more and more. So, that's kind of come to fruition, it seems. So now you have Bernie walking through HQ, and then Teresa is the woman he secretly has the affair with, right? That's her name?
It is, yeah, Teresa Cullen.
Yeah, so they're having, just a conversation, but this is kind of when you start to realize that there's something more going on.
Yeah, that he asked her about the meeting with corporate, and she's just like, just make sure you're ready for launch. And they kind of talk about, how are things with the park? Like, if we fix this issue, he assures her that everything is good, and she says, perfect, wouldn't want anything disturbing our guests from their rape and pillage.
Yeah. So now you have another scene with, actually the first scene with Lee, where he's just losing it because one of the numerous cast members of his newest storyline isn't perfect, and he's just being a complete douche and causing a scene.
Well, the nose on that indigenous person did look a little bit like Gonzo's nose from the Muppet Babies.
Yeah. Well, people look different. I've seen people with giant noses.
I don't know. Like, unless this was like oh God, hold on. No, I was just about to say a really inappropriate joke. You know what? Nope. Let's just move on. So I was about to make a Jew joke.
I knew you were going to make a Jew joke.
I was trying to, do I get some credit on that?
You do. I was just trying to make it happen organically, but you caught yourself.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Okay.
So Teresa Collins walks up as he fucking melts down. I mean, he screams at this bitch. He takes that's also offensive. Yeah, whatever. He takes this tray, fucking busts up the indigenous person's nose. And then so he walks off with her, and he's saying listen, I'm supposed to have a horde of these people, and I don't have enough. I need at least 50 extra robots for this storyline. She says, we'll get 20, but why are you even arguing for this? Has Ford even approved it?
Yeah. Which we get a little bit more payoff later when Ford actually sees the grand reveal.
And he says, why does that even matter? Ford hasn't weighed in on a plot line in years.
Oh, I missed that line.
Yeah, he makes another little comment there too about, Ford's basically on his way out.
Oh, nice. Well, I guess it sucks when he gives the grand presentation later.
No.
So now you see Bernie going in escalator, which is just literally hundreds of levels. You kind of see the scale of everything, and this is actually, I think, when him and Teresa kiss, and really the only significance here is that the confirmation of their relationship.
That's really it. Yeah, I love the shot, by the way.
It's gorgeous.
You get the cool elevated shot looking down at just so many levels to this place, which I guess you kind of already knew when they talk about the sub levels where the hosts are being kept once they've been decommissioned. But it's fucking really cool shot to look down at it to get a real sense of the scope for how big this headquarters is.
Yeah. And so now from here you actually have Elsie examining Maeve with the assistant. The assistant obviously is new and a little bit clueless, and they're going up for different things, and he inquires about dreams, which I'm immediately think of do androids dream of electric sheep, which is the novel Blade Runner is based off of.
Oh, okay.
Kind of just the concept of do androids dream. And she's like, what the fuck, why would you make them dream? That makes no sense. We do give them the concept of dreams, particularly nightmares, but they don't actually dream. So then that makes this whole idea of reveries even more disconcerting to the robot, because it's something that they just don't have, much of a frame of reference for.
Well, and she says that the reason why they put the nightmares in there is so that they have kind of a way of explaining away if they forget to wipe after maintenance, if they forget to wipe one of the robots' memory.
Yeah, it's just a bad dream.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was kind of cool. And and she's also like, oh, those fucking idiots down in maintenance or whatever. They put too much aggression into her. And so then they kind of up some of the other attributes, if you will, to put it back in video game terms again. Instead, let's put her perception up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And so they go through that. She's now back at Sweetwater. She seduces some guy.
Maeve got her groove back.
Yep, who gets sent away with Clementine. And then she's talking to Teddy, and Teddy just gets shot by some guest who's super drunk.
That's a fucking vacation.
Yeah, so he's obviously he's getting his kicks on Route 66 or Main Street or Front Street, whatever this place is.
Sure. And again, they show a scene of her having another reverie late that night, laying in bed, and I think that she's actually having like vivid dreams throughout this, which is not. Obviously, we've seen just the scene before, not supposed to be happening.
Yeah,
and
not
that's
part
when
of the plan.
she gets like the full image of the indigenous people just slaughtering people and scalping people. She grabs her daughter, they run into the house, and
she gets a gun. She's like defending herself.
Oh yeah.
You don't really get a clear image of the carnage and like who's portraying it, just that it's happening. But that's when the door gets kicked in, and it's the man in black of all people.
But what's funny about that is like you actually see outside a specific indigenous person. I don't know. Are you mocking me with that, or is that like the actual term?
No, that's like the actual new term.
Okay, gotcha. Well, one walks past the window and then past another window right next to the door. So like it's definitely like this strange sublimation in her reverie of what had actually occurred, because it's not the man in black walking past the window towards the door, but then all of a sudden the man in black kicks the door through.
That's what I was thinking. I saw the silhouette. I was like, it looks kind of like the man in black, but I swear the dude has a mustache. And then it was actually the man in black. And I was like, oh, wait. I just kind of assumed it was me.
No, it's kind of like, you know, how when you have dreams, like how they are actually
weird
pretty
shit
fragmented.
gets mixed up.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's something along those lines. But anyway, so I guess nothing really happens there. That she shoots him, nothing really happens. He brandishes a knife. She does the countdown, and then she wakes up on the
operating table.
And this is a really
my favorite
great
scene.
Yeah. Definitely, I think the best scene in the episode.
Yeah. So she's laying on the table. She comes to. These guys are just kind of talking, cutting her open, you know, doing their surgery type stuff. She reaches down and feels the wound and feels the pain and gets up off the table and grabs the scalpel and just, I mean, you can tell they have no idea what to do.
Oh, they're fucking terrified, like stumbling backwards away from her, like calling her by her name, which I'm sure confuses her even more. Which, by the way, I'm sure for our more lowbrow listeners, we need to mention you do get to see some titties in this scene.
Ass and titties, ass and titties. Yeah.
But you know, like what's that one dude's name? Like that one guy said in the beginning of the episode, it's not all about gunfights and titties here. So let's continue with the scene. Compose yourself, Mothman. And so she stumbles out into the corridor, like obviously very like weakened by her wound.
And she goes across this courtyard. She's stumbling. She's having a hard time keeping herself up. Then she enters into another building, and it's kind of like just a slaughterhouse. Because
that would be a trip, dude.
Yeah, because it's just this team cleaning up all the dead bodies from the day prior, right, or that day, to get them ready for the next day. And she sees it, like her eyes widen, and she just hits the ground on her knees, and then immediately the other two guys catch up with her.
I think she recognizes Teddy specifically too, because the camera
does show that. Him riddled with bullets. So she's probably really starting to put stuff together in her final moments. And then the two guys go up and grab her by the neck and knock her out.
I swear to God, I put her in sleep mode.
That was not fucking sleep mode, dude. Yeah, that little interaction happens. Mm-hmm.
For sure. So, okay, so that's when we get the back to the opening scene of Dolores walking in her nightgown outside of her home, and she digs in the ground. She finds a gun. Now, do you think that this is like possibly a gun with actual bullets? Like, is not one of the guns specifically made to not harm the humans?
It's possible. I mean, it's obviously going to be significant. Even if it's not necessarily just a normal gun, it's one that hasn't been updated, so sensors and things, maybe it'll just let you shoot whoever, not because it's not still like a technological gun, but because it's not compatible with the current updates and software.
Okay, I guess that's true. Yeah,
like instead of there just being like
simple,
normal
like
guns,
I think it's just a regular revolver, but I see what you're saying. Either way, we're on to the same thing here. We don't think that it fits within the framework or the design of the guns currently.
Yeah, because I'm assuming that they've never had just full-on guns with no limits whatsoever in the park, even when they first opened. But they've definitely probably had even more and more protocols and enhancements come out that this gun doesn't have, which means she's going to wreak some fucking havoc.
Yeah, I can't wait. I love that Dolores is like the sweetheart of the show, and she's also kind of the baddest bitch in the land, or at least that's kind of what they're like gearing her up to be.
And William wants a little piece too.
Goddamn right. Okay, so we kind of talked a little bit about Lee Sizemore's big old presentation. Everybody's there. Teresa Cullen, Bernard, Dr. Ford, Elsie. It's called The Odyssey on Red River, and that's when we get Ford's,
No. Yeah. It's like, it's so garish.
Parlor tricks.
Yeah, parlor tricks. It's garish. It's just, cheap thrills aren't what keep people coming back. It's the details. It's, kind of his whole thing about reveries. And I just love, because Lee is such a alpha male and a douche and like has a huge temper. And then for him to at the end just be like, well, is there anything that you like? He's like, what size are those boots?
Yeah.
He just steals the custom boots and goes back up to the normal land.
An interesting little setup shot that happens here too is as he's talking, you get some shots that are spliced in, and there's a shot of William and Logan in town as Dr. Ford is saying something along the lines of, they don't return for the garish themes. They come back. It's the things that they fall in love with, and during that part, it's showing William picking up something that Dolores dropped, and he's looking at her kind of like with this starstruck look in his eyes. So obviously William and Dolores, I think, are going to be connected.
Yeah, maybe. I know everyone seems to want to connect with her because we got the same moment when Teddy comes into town.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously there must be something about her. First off, they say that she's the most updated of all of the different robots there because she's the oldest one. So she's constantly everything in her has been replaced at some point. So yeah, there's obviously something about her. If she's all those levels of decommissioned robots and she's the first one ever, and yet she's still in the mix and one of the most, I guess, highly represented, because she's designed to be seen right as people come into town.
Mm-hmm. And now in contrast to Lee's vision that Ford is not interested in, he and Bernie take a walk topside, and he is kind of
wearing
teasing,
the boots, by the way. It's very funny.
Wearing the boots and teasing that he has a quite original piece that he's been working on for a long time. And you now see this black iron cross in the desert, which is like the second time you've seen that in the episode. So
you see it when Dr. Ford's out there with the boy too, and he's kind of got his eye on it. Yeah, so we don't know anything about it. I find it just really intriguing to see what's going to happen. Let's talk just overall. What did you think about the episode?
I really liked it. I liked the first episode significantly more, but I still really like this episode, and it's still just continuing to set up a universe and have more stuff happen. My favorite scene was by far her waking up on the operating table, Maeve, and going through all that. But I also enjoyed, just the guest perspective from William. I wonder if he's going to continue to be like a long playing character, at least him or Logan, and how much more we're going to see from guests like in the future,
Yeah, I did not like this episode significantly less than the first one. I'd say that the first one, just because there's always that just beautiful entrance into a new story that just kind of wraps you up. So yeah, I did like the first one a little bit more, but I really loved this one. I thought that it introduced some new complexities without putting too much into the story so that it becomes confusing. So I'm really liking it. There's a lot of layers to it. Already the internet is ablaze with theories. One interesting one that I saw is, and it kind of tracks a little bit, is William possibly actually the shot of him and his little buddy is an older shot, and he is actually the man in black, like in a past time. They're just showing it as though it's occurring in the present. But that it could actually be in the past. And if you look at it...
so like you're seeing an origin...
Yeah, an origin story of the Man in Black. And I read that in between viewings, so I watched it the second time with that in mind, and I didn't see anything occur that disproves that. Now, of course, that's just a theory that's founded off of a handful of scenes, but it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I don't think he looks like a young Ed Harris.
That never seems to hold back TV shows, though.
That's true. I've seen a few, I'm trying to remember what, but I've just seen a few things lately where I was like, oh, they did a pretty good job with the younger counterpart. But I guess at the end of the day, when you want to use a big actor, you're going to kind of be limited to finding another good actor that's going to look like a young version of them.
Yeah, for sure. But
Anyway.
okay, so anyway, yeah, I love this episode. I thought it was awesome. Super excited to continue covering it. Just a couple of little note-keeping things. Again, check out the new website at www.boobtubebuddies.com. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Reddit. Just look up Boob Tube Buddies, and then also boobtubebuddies@gmail.com. And that's it for me. You want to put a bow on this bitch, Mothman?
You know it. We'll see you next time, little buddies.